Hi, I have no talent, but I'm making a video game anyway. I want to bring you along for the ride through all the highs, the lows, the disasters that are gonna happen. I want you to see the real human experience, how it can be suffering and how it can be really great. I've always wanted to make PC games, but that industry is currently drowning in a pool of lava. As you know, there's been a bunch of layoffs, closed studios at the time of this recording. So I decided to do it myself. I've actually worked in video games for quite a while now, but I've mostly been working in mobile. Most of my work has also been in production and design, hence the no real talent. Like, all I do is write tickets and make sure that people know that we're reaching deadlines. I want to see what it's like to do everything. I want to know what it's like to do programming and art, even though it will be horrendously difficult. So to start off, I booted up Unity, and this gave me errors. Lots and lots of errors. So I had to do this 3 times while waiting and, praying that at some time it would start working. When I finally got in, I didn't really know what to do. I wanted to start creating something I knew, and I wanted to have a thing move to another thing, and that led me to raycasting. So what I have right now is a desk and a player. And what I want to happen is that the moment I click the desk, the player will move to the desk. To do that, I need raycasting, right? And raycasting in essence is that the moment that I click on the desk, a line is drawn from the camera to the desk. And if that hits the desk, I can send a signal to tell the player to move to the desk. So in essence, I'm trying to create my own life, where I walk in, sit down to work at my desk. And that brings up a good question. What am I actually building? For me, it's more important to get out of this project what I want to get out of it. So, for example, I want it to be achievable, which means that I'm going to limit the whole game to one room. Additionally, I always wanted to do some sort of voice acting. I think I'm fucking horrendous at it, but it would be fun to do something like that for my own project. And lastly, I want the game to have some sort of message. I want people to get away from the game with some newfound wisdom or some new appreciation or something that they've learned about themselves. So I don't really have a clear goal of what the game will be until I kind of start building it. And building it will take a while, because I got absolutely nowhere day one. I browsed around trying to figure out why my raycast wasn't working, and day 2 would prove to be more of the same. I was getting pummeled and incredibly frustrated. I was already ready to give up the first day, like it was crazy. But I kept going, and I just decided to mess around a bit with materials and lighting just to kind of get my head out of raycasting for the day. And then the next day, I was gonna come back fresh. Unfortunately, that didn't really happen. I got more and more frustrated until finally, this happened.
Fucking finally.
Unfortunately, this high point didn't really last that long, because as soon as I figured this out, life gave me another high five in the face with a chair. As I started my other recordings, I wasn't really noticing that my camera was freezing. Not only that, but both, and I mean both of my LEDs stopped working. So just to give some input, both of my LEDs died at the same freaking time. These are, look, it's on, but it's not working. Like, these are 2 different ones, and then alongside that, my camera decided to stop working. So it's been a great day. So after taking 3 days to make a bean move to a square, I now had broken lights and broken camera. I felt incredibly defeated. I really wasn't sure what I was doing, and I really wasn't sure if I should even be doing it. But I still wanted to,
right? So I got back up on the saddle and decided to record a while without a camera. Like, I have a camera now, but I didn't have one for a while. And to start, I just started doing some numbers. I decided that if I'm gonna do a game about me sitting at a desk, or at least a person sitting at a desk doing work, they should probably be earning money. And if they're earning money, I want some other counter things to happen. So I decided to move to a bit of an incremental game where you would work, and while you work, you get money. But while getting money, you get stressed. And if you work while stressed, you get half money. Like, that was the start. But I had a really good twist in mind that I wanted to bring into the game later. Real quick, right? If you also like your LEDs to just work, consider subscribing. Leave a comment. You like LEDs to work. Thanks. But before working on that twist, I wanted to battle my biggest demon, which is art. Of all the aspects that come with games, art is definitely the one I lack the most. So I just wanted to make sure that while I make these videos, there's at least something okay to look at. And, you know, I just started twiddling around. I started adding boxes in the scene. I started to try and build walls. Then I messed around with lighting. I wanted to get the lighting to do some sort of cool thing. Eventually, I got some assets from the asset store. I really love the Unity asset store, especially for someone like me that has really no talent when it comes to art. I got some really cool little assets in there to help and give the scene at least a bit of a vibe, right? That was my initial idea, was I just want some sort of vibe in the scene that is at least okay to look at as I record this stuff. And then as I started doing that, I also, you know, liked how it was starting to look. Like, these assets made the game come alive a bit. That brought me to the camera. And the camera is something really, really difficult. Like, getting this camera to work right and follow the player right as I wanted, while keeping the scene in one good flow, where everything stays visible, where I can click on aspects to let the player move to them. It was a real challenge. Like, that was not as frustrating as all the previous stuff, but it wasn't easy either, right? So one of the things that I've been doing now is like working in Unity mostly, and I know that you can use tools like Blender to actually model different things and to model the room or all the assets, but you know, I gotta take it easy on myself. I think most people, when they start doing this, I think they want to do too much, right? And I just want to focus on the things that I enjoy and not overcomplicate. I also feel like most people will feel like, ooh, I'm making the game wrong and I should be way cleaner with my code. No, man, just get a game done, right? It's already so freaking difficult to do that. Don't be too hard on yourself. So I decided not to be too hard on myself and just work in Unity. There's plugins that I use to eventually replace my boxes with actual models. And I started to kind of like it, right? Like, I started to use different models. I started to feel the aesthetic a bit. I eventually decided to make the game 16:9. Like, of course I made the game 16:9, but I forgot to make the room 16:9. So I was working with a square and I was trying to get like everything visible in that square, which was really, really dumb. And this was just a better solution. Just make like a taller or thicker room, right? And I kept building around with this, which eventually also led me to light baking. I noticed that my scene was looking really, really bad. I really didn't like how the lights were looking. It felt very flat, very, I don't want to say amateuristic, but just not right. And then I started figuring out, ooh, you can bake lights, which will make them look better. So I started messing around a bit with that. So I want to explain light baking to the best of my ability. So light is difficult. It's hard for a computer to process. You can see kind of all the different shades that are happening around me because I have light set up so that the camera sees it right. And what light baking does, in essence, is like it takes the world, so to say, and then as the light reflects on it, it will kind of draw the light on the world, right? Like it actually makes a drawing of how the light should be in the world, which means that it cannot move, right? Because if I move the piece of paper, Yeah, I'm looking at my camera to make sure it looks right. But if I move the piece of paper, the light on the paper changes from where it originally was, so the drawing no longer makes sense. What light baking essentially is it tries to make the light as realistic as possible and then kind of paints it into the texture. So moving stuff around is no longer really possible, but the things that are static anyway, right, like a closet or a bed, aren't gonna move. And then you can make them also mixed, so that if the player goes past it, the player still casts a shadow that is real time, but the light around him seems more realistic, so to say. I hope that makes sense. I then found the magic of post-processing, which was also really fun. It's just sliders you can mess around with, right? Like, it keeps things interesting and fresh, and it can really change how your game looks. It's, again, like a lot of different things, right? And that's something that I'm definitely noticing. Like, every step you dig deeper into all the software, the more you find. It's the same with these videos, you know. And then I figure out, ooh, you can do color correction, and you'll see like 15 different types of color correction in this video just because I'm messing around with it. You know, I'm just trying to make it look the best. It's also the camera setup and the lighting. It's a mess to get right. And yeah, I'm quite happy with how it turned out. Like, it's definitely not final, and I'll probably redo this like 15 more times, but at least I got something that looks okay and that I feel like I can show a bit on camera and not feel too bad about. And that will kind of prep me for the next videos where I want to do different things. And yeah, I even got to a point where I started building in a new mechanic. But then I was like, well, maybe that's too many mechanics for like one video, because this also takes really long. I just told myself not to do too much in one thing, but then I'm making these videos while doing, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, I like this, right? And I think that's a point that I'm trying to convey, is like, just do the things you like and take shortcuts on the things you don't like. I really like editing these videos. Like, there's way too much time in this, but I'm not in a rush. I'd much rather just do things, you know, one at a time, while doing the things that I enjoy the most. But yeah, the end result was quite good. You know, I was happy. It was decent. And now with a dude walking to a desk and then starting to type and then earning money. I had the stress system working, and I was thinking of other values that I could work with. And then I started implementing the new mechanic, which actually the second kind of genre that I want to add into the game, but I'm not gonna say it yet. Like, you're just gonna have to hang around, maybe see the next video. So this whole ordeal so far took me like 12 days. 12 days of, you know, doing stuff after work, like 2 to 3 hours, or doing stuff in the weekend, like a few hours, while still trying to kind of, you know, keep my life happening. And then there's the editing of this video, which also took me 7 days. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is, like, for me, it's important that this all stays in a realm of realism, right? I don't want you to think that I just, you know, figured this all out and did this in like a few minutes. It took a long time. And I'm trying to convey that as best as possible, but you're still seeing only the shortcut, right? Like, I cut out a bunch of shit. Like, I think I have hours of footage that is just not in here. I want to say this because I'm so afraid that people will look at this and be like, oh shit, you know, like, I can do this in a few days and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be hard, man. You know, like, and if you like it, do it, right? But again, like, for me, this whole kind of series that I want to set up, it has to be rooted in realism. I just don't want people to feel bad if it takes long. It's difficult, and that's fine. Don't be discouraged. Yeah, so that's it for now. That's, I think, all I have to share. I think I'm gonna try to do like 3 main things every video, which keeps me kind of on schedule, because then I have to do 3 new things every video. I might edit a little less, maybe more, if I get a bit more of the hang of this. This is also new, so, you know, it's a lot. But I'm enjoying it. It's cool, and I hope you enjoyed it too. And, you know, maybe I'll see you around next time. Join me on this journey. It's gonna be fun. Thanks. So while I'm editing, I have a partner in crime. The little Kira cat. Look at her.
Say ma'am. Thank you.